and Thursday, 3 hours, right? So hopefully we can recover or recapture back whatever that we have lost, in terms of syllabus, right? In terms of syllabus, okay. Uh, Please read the whole entire slide on a PowerPoint slide, and also the textbook on page 550 onwards. Okay, and please write your names on the chat session for attendance purposes. For attendance purposes. Okay, so today we will discuss on two-factor factorial design. Hopefully we can move to a 2 power of 2, 2 power of 2, hopefully lah. Okay, so I will share the slide now, and this slide is referring to whatever that I'm share in your WhatsApp group. Okay, so I will share the slides. Yeah. Can you see the slides? I hope you can see the slide, right? I hope you can see the slide. Can you see the slide now?
Yes.
On okay, good. Okay. So today we will discuss hopefully for sections 14-1. Okay. Let me put into a marker, right? So you can follow my presentation or my lecture, my lecture, right? Otherwise in the virtual world, very difficult to follow the presentation or lecture in the virtual world. Okay, so today, which is a 1 hour lecture, hopefully I can cover, I don't know, basically we will cover for the whole entire chapter, hopefully for maybe 1 or 2 weeks time. Hopefully I will cover maybe from here. I don't know how, this is for today lecture, right? Today lecture is on 11. On 11, 11 November. So please read. So basically, for this class, student are expected, please take note, reading the slide, read the slide, read slides, okay, read the slide. Number 2, read the textbook, read the textbook, textbook, okay. Number 3, if you don't understand my lecture, right, you can watch a YouTube available. YouTube, YouTube still, I don't know, for whatever reason it's gone, right? It's gone. Anyway, so okay, so today this topic about two-factor, right? Let me, okay, using the pencil. I think before our class today, we talk about single factor, right? Single factor, right? I hope everybody, single factor experiment, single factor experiment, single factor. Okay. Today we talk about two factor, two factor, Today, two factor. What is a factor? Factor A and factor B, two factor. Factor A, okay, and B. Okay, two factor. Okay, two factor. Which is, okay, the design like this, two factor. You have factor A at 2 level. This one is 2 level, 2 level. Factor B at 2 level. However, for today lecture, we have A at multiple level, A at multiple level, not at 2 level, up to small a, A level. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, multiple level. And B also is not 2 level. This is 2 level, low and high. But we talk about B level. Okay, B level. Always on the data collection sheet, you must always write factor A on your left, always write like this. Factor A on your left in terms of the on your left, no, on your left. Factor B on your top of this. So you always, because all the formula will be based on this kind of data arrangement. Okay, data arrangement. Okay, I hope. Okay. Okay, this is when you talk about two factor, right? This is no interaction. Okay, this is called, let me put some, okay, example here. This is example of factor A, factor B. There's no interaction when the line is almost parallel. When the line is almost parallel, almost uh, parallel, parallel, there's no interaction. No, no interaction. Parallel. It could be like this also, like this. If your graphical analysis, factor A, in this particular case, two level. Remember, I think the previous example, if you got about factor A and B, right? Factor A and B, you have is show like this. That means no interaction. No interaction if the graph is almost parallel. If the graph is like this, right? You have factor A, okay, and then you have like this, It is B, B, B low, B low and high, B high. So if you like this, that means interaction exists between A and B. Interaction exists. So as long as the parallel like this, or like that, so there's no interaction between factor A and factor B. No interaction. Okay. Okay, this is example of interaction between factor A and B. As I mentioned, is there's no no parallel. So it become like this. That means interaction between A and B exists here. There's interaction. So you can detect this interaction through ANOVA or through graphical analysis. Through ANOVA, that means p value less than 0.05, interaction exists, or through graphical analysis. If there is some crisscrossing, crisscrossing like this, that means interaction exists. Okay. In fact, in mechanical experiment, whether in machining, whether in injection molding, whether in thermodynamic, whether in strength, whatever, I will assume that interaction exists. Between the factor. In this particular case, factor A and factor B. You should assume. Okay. As I mentioned, right? Always remember this is your data. This is your data, data collection sheet. Data collection sheet. I think as mechanical engineering student, right? You data collection sheet. As mechanical engineering student, we always make decision based on data, data-driven environment. What is data? If you look at Malaysians, COVID now, so many data being collected. COVID now, data is positive cases. Today, the number is increasing, right? I think yesterday about 4,500. Yesterday, today, jump to 6,000. Number of positive cases, one of the indicators. Okay. Second indicators, number of ICU bed. Third indicators, number of population being vaccinated. Number of category in, 1, 2, so many raw data, so many raw data, Look at the COVID now data, only for Malaysian database. so many data being collected, so many raw data, so many raw data, and then who analyzes data? Uh, John Hopkins Universities, you know, based I think in US, John Hopkins. They analyze the data for all over the world to see the pattern. For example, Malaysia is top 10 in terms of population fully vaccinated, top 10 in the world, right? In the world, superseding Japan, South Korea, UK, or that kind of thing, you know, at least top 10 Malaysia. However, the positive cases is keep increasing. I don't know for which category lah. Okay, so for your case, mechanical engineering student, you need to collect the data for FYP2. You know, so how to collect data? Okay, in this case, remember is two factor, right? This is factor A. You have multiple level, right? Factor A, 1, 2, up to A level, and factor B up to 1 to B level. This is replicates, you know, replicates. That means for each cell, right? For example, factor A, you run at first level, factor B also at first level, then you run replicates. This is all N replicates. N replicates. Okay. In order to provide the precision in your experiment. That means I hope by now mechanical engineering student, whatever you conduct experiment is not enough to run only single replicates. For example, factor A, factor B, right? Maybe factor A is pressure, you know, and factor B is speed. You run only 1 point. You call it no. We need to run replicates at this particular setting. Okay, and then as usual, calculate the total, I think sum, right? Y1 dot dot Y1, that means row 1, you know, row 1, row 2, and row A, you know, the sum of each rows, and then calculate the averages, right? Averages. And then for factor B, similarly, you can calculate Y dot 1 dot, you know, column 1, you know, column 2, column B. Okay, this is your data collection. So before you conduct your experiment, I think this data is for FYP1, final, you know, year project, final year project, you know, part 1, which is this semester, you need to prepare your data collection sheet. That means the panel of evaluators would like to know how you are going to plan your data for next sem. Okay, this is the experimental data protocol, right? How you plan to run experiment. Doesn't matter whether you want to run laboratory experiment or whether you run simulation. At least you need to know what are the factors, what are the response, how the plan data collection will look like. You can put here in chapter 3. Chapter 3, you know, chapter 3 in your methodology, you know, methodology section, how you plan to collect the data, because as engineer, we must make decision based on the data driven. We cannot make decision based on fake news, you know, fake news, secondary news, you know. No, we must collect our own data. Data must have integrity. You know, you cannot cheat the data, you cannot massage the data, you cannot cook the data, doctor the data, whatever. Data must be, you report as is. Remember, you must report as is. Okay. Okay, this is the real observation based on linear statistical model, right? Never mind. As I mentioned, we are assuming fixed effects model. Fixed effect, that means we set the setting, you know. For example, cutting speed at 10, 20, 30, you know, injection pressure at 100, 200, you know, that means you as a researcher engineer fix at the level there, you know, you fix the level based on literature review, based on process knowledge, based on asking your expert in the process, right? Expert in the process. Okay. On this uh, hypothesis, this is very important hypothesis. Oh, sorry. I think my put pencil. Hypothesis for two-factor experiment. For two-factor experiment, A and B, right? The most important is we want to test this hypothesis. Number 3, what does it mean? Null hypothesis, H0 is null. I hope, guys, by now you must be able to analyze hypothesis. For example, at the beginning of COVID-19, people are, making noise about the ivermectin, ivermectin, the drugs, ivermectin that can cure, COVID-19, COVID-19, based on whatever news. But Malaysians, I think, Malaysian just release a report, right? So ivermectin really do not have an effect on reducing COVID-19 infection. So you must put like this, some hypothesis. What is your hypothesis? Okay. So in our class, for two-factor, this is your null hypothesis. That means there's no interaction between A and B. Factor A, there's no interaction. Alternative, that means interaction exists. When interaction exists, that means the moment they say like this, you must understand this is factor A, right? Factor A. When interaction exists, that means you expect like this. So that means whether you reject or do not reject null hypothesis, So I hope by now, mechanical engineering student, you must be able to understand the concept of H0 null hypothesis, null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. Hello, guys. Guys, please switch off your speaker phone. Class in session. Thank you. Okay. This is H1 alternative hypothesis. Alternative. Usually, as a researcher, you always try to reject the status quo. That means you are assuming reject or do not reject null hypothesis. So in this particular case, H0, that means no interaction exists. Alternative means there is interaction between factor A and factor B, factor A and factor B. Okay, hypothesis. Okay, this is a formula. Usually for two-factor, we must use ANOVA. Remember? I think it's similar like this, right? This is for factor A, main effect of factor A. This main effect of factor B is interaction. I think we interested in testing the hypothesis that means interaction exists or do not exist on our experiment, in our experiment. Okay, this is the calculation. Remember to calculate the ANOVA. Okay, let me put here. Let me put here, right? Your ANOVA is like this, You have a SOV, source of variation, right? You have factor A, okay? You have factor B, okay? You have interaction of AB, interaction of AB, right? You have error. I think by now you all must be able to visualize the ANOVA, error, and total. Then you have a SS, sum of square, right? Sum of square, okay? And then you have degree of freedom, DOF, degree, and then the rest, So this is your ANOVA table, okay? ANOVA table. So the formula is like this, the formula, okay? The data collection sheet is like this. Remember the data collection sheet, This is factor A here. This factor B here. Okay, factor A, factor B, and then the formula is this. So I hope by now you must practice how to calculate manually the ANOVA for two factor using all this big formula. To square in the observation, and then you have to square the total, and then divide by total number of observations. The number of observation. You must write this formula for your test one. Write this formula. Otherwise, how to remember all this big formula, right? You must write all in the cheat sheet. Okay, cheat sheet. Okay, this ANOVA, remember ANOVA for two factor. This is ANOVA, right? This is ANOVA for two factor. You have factor A here. You have factor B. Interaction between A and B. A and B, interaction, right? Error total. We are interested to test this hypothesis, right? Hypothesis, so we can compare, F, you can compare this, right? We can compare F alpha, mu1 and mu2 from the table. If this value greater than this F table, that means you should reject null hypothesis, reject the interaction. That means you can see that interaction exists. So this is your ANOVA for what? For two factorial experiment for fixed effects model. Fixed, I mean the researcher, you yourself fix the level. You want to test at injection pressure or speed at certain level based on experience, literature review, process knowledge, or whatever, right? That means you as a researcher, you fix that. For example, we want to test the effectiveness of Sinopharm, CanSino. You select what you want to, test for the vaccine type, affecting whatever, For example, now, I think all over the world are struggling to see the effectiveness of vaccine below, I don't know, 12 years old, whether the effectiveness is okay or not. So all struggling, to conduct the experiment, research to see that. So that means experiment are very important, very important for developing SOP. So this is ANOVA. So usually they based on this ANOVA, for to see effectiveness or not effectiveness. Okay, ANOVA, right? Okay, they give example. However, in this example, right, this example refer to the books. This example refer to textbook. Refer textbook. Not given in the slide for whatever reason. Refer to textbook. Never mind, before we refer to our textbook, please read the story first. Usually a story, a lot of story, right? Is storyboard. Story. You need to identify what are the factor A, what are the factor B, and that kind of thing. Okay. So this is for aircraft primer paint, for paint process, right? So in this process, there are two methods, methods. There are two methods, whether dipping or spraying. Okay, two methods. The response is improve the addition. So you must identify here, what are the factor A. For example, here, by reading this, right? By reading this, you all should identify what is the factor A, right? What is a factor A? Okay, what is the factor B, right? What is the factor B? And what is the response? Output response. Okay, what is the response when you're reading this story? Story. Okay, you are working on the process engineering group uh, and interested in learning whether different primer types, uh, three different primer effect and adhesion properties. So you need to conduct factor experiment to investigate effect of primer type and application method. So basically, to investigate the effect of primer type. A is A primer type. B, oh sorry, B here refer to application method, right? The response if replicates, three specimens were painted, replicates, and the addition force is measured. Okay, addition force is measured. So this is the response. The response. So maybe for the test one, given this kind of story, so you need to identify what are the factor A, what are the factor B, right? And what are the response, and how many replicates, how many replicates, right? How many replicates? In this case, example, right? Replicates equal to 3 here. So I hope guys, when you read the story between line, you must be able to extract the information for your analysis. That means this is typical, right? In fact, if you uh, uh, undergo right your LI industrial training, right, the problem is not a textbook problem. You need to set up the problem, formulate, identify that kind of thing. So you need to think, right? Think. Okay, so basically the story of this is to, from the story, identify factors, right? Response, how many replicates, right? Okay, okay. I think let I unshare here first, right? Unshare the story, right? The theory. Stop sharing. I will share the textbook, because data from the textbook, data from the textbook. Okay, then we go to our textbook, right? Our textbook. Okay, this is our textbook. You must read this textbook, right? You must read this textbook, and then go chapter 14. Is it? I don't know which chapter, but I did read it 550. Chapter. Let me check on the chapter, right? Okay. Go to, I think chapter 14, guys. Go direct to chapter 14, right? 10, 13. Okay. This is chapter 14. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So for chapter 14, right? For chapter 14, you need to read from the beginning of the chapter to understand the concept of experimental design, right? Experimental design. You read first. Okay. Read. But factorial experiment 2 by 2, right? I think 550, is it 550 page? Eh, it's not 550. Oh, I think from the beginning, the introduction. Okay, I think to the lecture, right? Just to the lecture about factorial experiment. When there are several factors in the experiment, so you can read this. Okay, this is the no interaction, right? Interaction. This is interaction exists. I think whatever I have discussed today, right? You must read this. As a student, you must be able to read a lot. from the reliable sources. Okay, I think this example given in your slide. This is example. Okay, okay. Remember example here. This factor A, as I mentioned, right? Remember that factor A on the left, always on the left. Factor A. How many levels? A have 3 levels. You know, we have 3 primer type. Type 1, type 2, type 3. Okay, this is factor B. Application method. Factor B. You know, this is factor B. Factor B have 2 level. Factor B. Factor B. So I hope guys, when you look at this raw data, you must be able to visualize graphically in your mind. That means you should be able to have a photographic memory. Photographic, you know, as engineer, always try to visualize things, you know. So you have factor A, you have factor B at 2 level, right? And then you have 3 replicates, you know, okay, through 3 replicates. This is the sum of first row, the sum of second row, you know, second, okay. So and 3 replicates, you know, 4, 4.5, 4.3. I think the response is Hadesian force, you know, the force. Okay. So you know, right? In order to analyze this data, you need to construct ANOVA. Okay, ANOVA, you know. Source of variation, remember? Source of variation, factor A, you know, factor B, oh, sorry, factor B, right? AB, interaction of AB, AB, huh? And then you have error, you have total. So you know, in order to analyze the data, by now, mechanical engineering student all when you start analyzing your data, whether you want to use computer simulation or laboratory works, right? You must analyze your data using statistical data analysis. You know, statistical. Okay, this is the raw data that you collected. Raw data that you collected. Okay. So in order to analyze this, as I mentioned, you need to calculate. Remember here, right? Sum of square, you know, SSA, SSA, you know, SSB, right? And then you have S sum square total, SST. And then you have degree of freedom, right? DOF. And then you have mean square, right? MS. Mean square. And then, sorry guys. And then the last column you have F statistics. So this is ANOVA. Okay, ANOVA that we have discussed in theory, right? This is an example. Okay. So you, then hypothesis. You need form hypothesis. Form hypothesis. Form hypothesis. Form hypothesis. Hypothesis. 80, you know, 80, 80 alpha beta equal to 0. No interaction exists, you know. Alternative, right? Alternative alpha beta not equal to 0. That means interaction exists. That means interaction exists between primer type and application method affecting the addition force of the whatever process, right? So this is your hypothesis. Hypothesis means your conjecture, your contending. You know, for example, you are assuming ivermectin will have an effect on COVID-19, although the Ministry of Health Malaysia conducted the study that ivermectin does not have an effect on COVID-19. In fact, Malaysian study is agreeable with Center CDC, Center of Disease and Control from US, from US. Okay, so that means whatever you want to say something, you must conduct experiment, not just claim based on WhatsApp news, fake news, fake news from America, you must understand, in America there's a lot of fake news, especially for the unvaccinated group. In fact, America is having problem compared to Malaysia. I think our country is more receptive for vaccination, but America I think they are having problem for vaccination for their own population. That's why a lot of unvaccinated group, NGO, sharing fake news, sharing bogus paper, that kind of thing. So we must based on reliable sources, right? Not based on fake news. Okay. Okay. This is data. Okay. Data. Okay. This is the data collection arrangement. Remember data collection arrangement factor A. I think we have shown this. That means you must show in your FYP1, how you want to collect or plan your data collection sheet for part 2. You must plan. So I hope you must plan, whether you want to do simulation or laboratory, you must plan your data collection sheet is like this. But this is general. But you must put in your own what the factor level, how many replicates, Okay. This ANOVA, right? ANOVA. I've shown this. Okay, this is the calculation to access sum square total. Then we have to square for each individual observation using scientific calculator. Okay. Okay, this is solution. Okay, Okay, let me check. This is the. Sorry, guys. Let me make it like this. Anecdote. Red in color. Using a pencil marker. Okay, this is a standard solution, right? This is a solution. Solution. I think see the textbook problem. Solution exists. If you talk about not a textbook problem, like now it's a COVID-19, there's no solution. Every country is scrambling to find a solution. Not like a textbook problem. This is our textbook problem. The problem is solvable. So in order to consider ANOVA, you need to calculate SST, right? Sum square total. This is a formula. This is a formula that you need to write in your own cheat sheet. Okay. This is a formula that you need to write in your own cheat sheet for SSA. Remember primer is A. This is B. This is SSA. A. Right? Okay. A. This is SSB. Method is B. Sorry. This is B, right? This interaction of AB. AB. Okay, by now, you need to square 18 observation, for each observation, you have to square. So, I would suggest that you must practice. You must practice using your own calculator, practice, especially to calculate SST, whether you get this number or not. Whether you get this number or not, right? You don't try to make this practice during the test. It's a suicidal. You must do it now, during the. Don't try to practice this during the test, it's a suicidal. You will get negative ANOVA. So you must practice this. Get this, you get this, okay, and then assess error, and then you can construct the ANOVA. So you can, my suggest is practice this calculation. Make sure you can use scientific calculator to just key in 18 data, square it, and then you minus it, you must make sure you got 10.72. Or you can use Minitab to develop ANOVA. Minitab. I think for our project, I'm expecting you to analyze using Minitab. Minitab for your project. I think practice for your test, for project, for project, for FYP, for FYP, for research paper, you must use a software, for data analysis. You don't use manual calculation. Manual calculation for test is okay, for test is okay, final is okay, but for research, for project, for FYP, for your career advancement, you must use a software. But still, you must know the theory, right? Theory must know, but still, don't use this manually. Use the software for data analysis. Okay, for data analysis. That is the calculation, right? Calculation, and then this is the ANOVA, right? Oh, this is the ANOVA. Is ANOVA, right? Okay, it's ANOVA. This is the ANOVA. You can see here, right? Interaction. If you look, interaction here, the interaction between A and B, 1.46, right? 1.46, right? Is less than alpha here. See alpha 212 here. 2, right? 212 here. Look at this interaction. 212. 1 point is less than 3.89. That means your conclusion is do not reject the hypothesis. Do not, do not reject null hypothesis. Do not reject. And the conclusion is there is not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence. There's not enough evidence to conclude that primer type and application method affecting the addition force. It is, what does it mean? Since 1.5, 1.46, and 1.5 is less than 3.9, there's no indication interaction exists. So this is a very powerful words. They mean after you conduct the experiment, there is not enough evidence that ivermectin do not have an effect on COVID-19 patient. Not enough evidence. Not enough evidence. Similarly, if you use a p-value, right? Since a p-value is equal to 0, is equal to 0.000. 0.0 because 10 to minus 4. Here also 0.00. That means if p-value less than 0.05, that means primer type affecting addition force, addition force, and since 0.269, like greater than this one, right? This one 0.269 greater than alpha 0.05, that means similar and similar conclusion. That means there's not enough evidence that interaction exists between primer type and application method. Okay, application method. I think you can read the interpretations here. Read interpretation. Okay, if you know the interaction exists from this, you always must remember. You talk about graph here, right? A graph here, A. Okay, graph A. So you must similarly must parallel like this because no interaction like this. Because there's no interactions. If the interaction should be crisscross, you expect like this. Almost parallel. Okay, that's your visualization. I hope by now, you and the fourth year student, when you got the data, you analyze it, right? And you must be able to interpret the results, right? You must be able to interpret. Okay. Okay. This is the graph. This is the graph for no interactions, right? This is this it shows no interactions. See there? No interaction because the graph is like this, no parallelism. So you have factor A, primer type, 3 level, right? This is factor B, dipping and spray. Okay, so in order to interpret this, okay, let me check. In order to interpret this, I think by now you must be able to interpret your results. Okay, in order to interpret this graph, right? First, you see no interaction exists, right? No interaction. Why? Because the line is almost parallel. No interactions. Okay. This is the first you must write in your interpretation for tests or for your reports. No interactions. Number two, if you want to maximize like the additional force, the response, you must select here, this point. Maximize, maximize the force. That means you must select what? You must select uh, primer type 2, primer type 2, primer, PRI, you must use for your SOP, primer type 2, and then you must use the spray process. Spray process. This is interpretation, You must use the, you must use the spray process in order to maximize the force. Dipping is worse. Dipping. Dipping is, regardless of primer type, dipping is always less than the spraying. So that means you must choose the spray process to maximize the response, right? Spray process. This is the interpretation. How you get this mean? This is the mean. This is the mean. Mean. This is the mean analysis. Mean. How you get the mean? How you get the mean? You must look back. Okay, I thought. Okay, this is interpretation. Okay, look how to calculate the mean. Okay, I think before I calculate the mean, I complete this first. How to calculate the error? Read also, right? Error here, residuals, right? Or they call it residuals. Residuals. EIJK itu actual observation minus Y bar IJ dot. That means each cell. Residuals, which is EIJK, is still be derived between the actual observation, actual, actual observation that you collected, refer to cell averages. Remember, we have 3 replicate, right? Cell averages. That's called residual analysis, right? Residual analysis. Okay. Residuals. Okay, this is how the residual, you need to calculate the actual observation minus the averages of this cell, averages of this cell, and then you can plot this. Plot residual versus primer type, or plot residual versus the application method. Okay. How to, okay, I think since we are almost done, I think we'll continue tomorrow, right? In the morning, tomorrow, right? For 2 hours. Tomorrow we'll continue about factorial. Okay, how to get the mean, right? Remember to calculate the mean. I want to show you how to plot this plot, right? Using the mean. Using the mean, look at your original raw data. Raw data, right? Look at your raw data. Okay. Okay, this is the mean. Raw data. Okay. Hold a minute. Cancel. Here mean. Okay. How to get the mean? Mean. That means 12.8 divided by 3, right? 12.8. 12.8 divided by 3. So 4.3 here mean. Here mean 4.3. Actually 4.27, right? 4.27. 4.27 the mean, mean for this average, 4.27. Okay, the mean for this cell number 2, 15.9 divided by 3, 5.3. The mean here 5.3. Okay, the mean from here 11.5 by 3, 3.83. 3. That's why sometimes you need to do some preliminary, some calculation, some preliminary, right? 15.9 divided by 3, 5.3 here, 5.3, right? 5.3, 0.2 divided by 3, 6.1, 6.1, and then finally 50.5, 5.2, 5.2. Then from here you can calculate. Remember, and the previous you plot like this. Okay, you have primer type, right? Primer type 1, right? Primer type 1. Suddenly it's gone. Sorry. I want to show you how to construct the interaction plot. Okay, first like this. You know this, right? And then you have primer type here, PT, right? Let's put PT. Primer type, you have 3 level. 1, right? 2, and 3. Okay, and then here you have response. Mean, right? Mean. This is your response. Okay, your response. Based on the graph, right? This is a primer type, which is this. And then you need to plot here. Remember the previous, the on top is like this, right? Like this. This is for spray, I think. Spray. And then the bottom here is the dipping. That mean spray. Okay, here. Oh, guys, sorry, the mean. Calculate the mean here, right? Mean here. Put it here. Okay. And then the dipping here, the mean of dipping, the mean of the dipping, you plot it here. That's how you plot the interaction plot, interaction. What's the plot? The plot interaction plot. Interaction plot of primer type, primer type, and application method. Application method. Okay, this is how you construct. Usually, I like to ask you all for test or final, construct the interaction plot. For example, this is how you construct interaction plot. Based on the mean. Based on the mean of this. This is called cell averages. Cell averages. Okay. That means after you this, you will get. I think in your textbook they don't give you how you. They just show you the plot, right? They don't show you how you construct. the plot here. This is interaction plot. That means no interaction. Since the line is almost parallel, there's no, then confirmed by the ANOVA. No interaction between here. See there, the ANOVA based on Minitab 2.69, right? Or based on manual calculation. No interaction, and it shows in the graphical analysis no interaction between A and B. Okay. Any question about today's lecture? I will continue discussing for the rest of the slide for tomorrow. Tomorrow is 2 hours, so I hope I can catching up whatever we have lost. You know? But please read the slide until I think for tomorrow until 31. I think for 2 by 2, 2 by 2 or 2 power of k experiment. You read first so that it's easy for you to follow my lecture. Or if you don't understand, you type at YouTube. You just type at 2 factorial experiment, and then you can watch YouTube at your own sweet time. Exactly what I'm presenting here is same like in the YouTube. YouTube. Okay, guys. If there is no question, or is there any question, maybe you can ask me during tomorrow class at 8. Tomorrow we have 2 hours from 8 until 10, right? 8, 10.
Doctor, is there a
Yeah.
QR code?
Huh?
Is there a QR code for attendance?
No, right at the chat session. Right at chat session.
All right.
Okay,
Sorry.
right. Chat session there is manual, right? So you must write your own name. Yes, write your own name so that at least you are aware, right? Let's give you some mark for writing your name at your chat session. Okay, thank you. If there's no question, see you tomorrow at 8, right? Tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning, and continue discussing this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.